Well, good morning, and it's lovely to have Jennie here. If you haven't met me, I'm James Levasier, the vicar of Burpham Church. And Jennie, who are you?
Hi, I'm Jennie Sullivan, and I work at Happy Child International, and we are partners with Burpham Church.
Now, we've got some things to discuss, and I think you're going to ask the first questions.
Okay, now, James, you did something rather amazing on at the weekend. Can you tell us a little bit about it, because it left you rather tired?
Yes, I'm still a little tired from it, actually. Yes, so what I did was a 50-kilometre run, but I didn't do it in one go. I did it 1.3 miles every hour on the hour for 24 hours. So I was running day and night on the hour around a little 1.3 mile loop.
Oh my. For how long?
For 24 hours.
Say it
So,
again,
yeah,
yeah,
so I
say it again.
started on
24 hours.
started Saturday, finished Sunday morning at just before our last week's service at 7 o'clock last Sunday.
That, for me, sounds absolutely impossible. What possessed you to take up that challenge?
Well, I confess I like impossible challenges, because impossible means that you need help, and I like to rely on God. And once you get into the impossible, you have to have God involved in it. And so I like going to impossible places for God. But the other thing which was really motivating me, which is why you're here, is Happy Child. I wanted to do it and raise some money. And I just, as you know, I've run before for Happy Child, and I love what you do in Happy Child. And I just looked at some of the stuff that was going on in Brazil, and I just felt really moved to do this run for Happy Child and raise some money for them.
Oh, well, thank you so much from everyone at Happy Child, from the kids in the home. We cannot believe what you've done, and we're so grateful. I'd like to ask you, though, what you found difficult.
So, yeah, I had no idea, because I've never done anything like this before. So I wasn't sure how difficult I'd find it. And in the beginning, I thought, oh, this isn't so hard. But when I got to the night, and I had been already running for about 15 hours, and it got dark, and there was no one around, and I got into bed and went for a little sleep, and I slept for, I think, 21 minutes the whole night. And then I got up and had to go for this run, and that was quite difficult. So in the middle of the night, it was a mental battle more than a physical battle to get up and do that. But however, just before it got dark, I did see you, and I saw, I don't know whether you know, I also saw Yvonne and Lewis had got up, and they'd come to one of my last runs at the night to see me, and they were there in the morning as well. I don't know whether you knew that. At 7 o'clock in the morning they were there too. But you, Jennie, slightly crazily, in the middle of the night, had put up loads of lights along the hedgerows. Don't know what our neighbours thought. They were probably still asleep, so they never saw them. And massive great posters along the road that I was running. And I have to say, that did keep me going in the middle of the night. It was such encouragement. There was one particular about God, saying, God is your strength. And every time I was trying to read it as I went past it every night, and that kept me going. But it was quite hard, I must confess, in the middle of the night.
Oh, absolutely amazing. A really incredible feat. I don't know how you've done it. And yet again, because you ran up Snowdon for us as well. And to do this is incredible. The girls in the home couldn't believe it when they heard that you were running all that time. So it's the least that we could do was to send you some messages in the middle of the night. And we hope that the lights lit up your way, and that you really felt some extra strength from God coming through, and some love all the way from Brazil to encourage you.
Definitely.
So tell us, James, how much have you raised so far?
Well, so far, a lot more than I thought I was going to raise. So I was quite discouraged at first. But in the end, we've raised, that I know of, and I think there's still some more coming in, about £2,840 so far, which I'm so encouraged. And I just want to take the opportunity. If you sponsored me, thank you so much. I can't tell you how encouraging. I knew when I was running that all these people had sponsored me, and it was so encouraging knowing that they had. So thank you very much for those who sponsored me. And also some people turned up in Sutherland Park to wave me on. I saw a few people there too who waved me on. So thank you if you turned up in Sutherland Park too. It was really lovely to see you. Well, I get to ask you questions now, Jenny, because now we've kind of seen how motivated I am about Happy Child. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Happy Child and why I felt so motivated to do this run, this rather silly run for Happy Child. I mean, one of the things when I was thinking about this was I just had heard that Brazil was going through such a tough time at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Brazil? Because we've got so much going on, what's going on in the UK. Good to hear about other countries.
Yes, thank you. Well, Happy Child has been working to help those in Brazil, in the poorest parts of Brazil, for 26 years now. But you know, there's still a really vital need there. There are 5.8 million children and young people living in Brazil in very poor conditions, in makeshift homes with little access to education, housing, water, sanitation, or access to information. 6 out of 10 children living in poverty, according to Child Fund. And the violence and abuse against children and young people in Brazil is widespread. The rates continue to rise. 11,000 adolescents are killed each year in Brazil, which is just awful, according to UNICEF, their report in 2018. But Happy Child is still serving in this country, and we really believe that that is what God wants us to do.
And the COVID-19 must have just made it all the more complicated.
Absolutely. You know, the figures today are 50,000 deaths and more than 1 million infections.
Wow.
And, you know, this is still increasing. And social distancing and cramped conditions in the favelas makes it impossible. And many women and girls are particularly exposed to violence, precisely where they should be protected in their own homes.
So this really home that in Recife that you're caring for, how are they doing, and how's Happy Child coping with all the complexities? I mean, you've got complexities and challenges anyway, but ever more so in the current conditions. How are you faring as a charity and the home with the girls that you care for?
Yeah, the Happy Child home in Recife has continued to keep operating. And we have such dedicated staff, so they're still going in and being very, very careful, looking after the girls, trying to reassure them, because they are feeling very anxious. They're not able to go to school, so you know, they are just stuck in the home, but the staff are doing all they can to help to reassure them. And the charities, like with all charities, the virus has caused huge disruption to our fundraising program this year. And indeed, tomorrow would have been our big Happy Child fundraising event dinner at the House of Lords, and we had to cancel that. But then you came along with your crazy idea and running for 24 hours for Happy Child. And you are raising so much money for us. I just cannot believe it. So that is such a help just at the moment when we really need it the most. I can't thank you enough. And everyone who has supported you in your run and with the sponsorship. And if you want to just, you know, I think you've raised nearly £3,000, James. That's
I'd love to get over the 3,000. So if there's anybody out there who'd like to help me over that final hurdle, haven't got far to go, it would be lovely to bless Happy Child in that way and to get over that 3,000 mark. And are there any other ways that we can support and encourage? Because I'm guessing most people don't want to run 24 hours, 50 kilometers. But I guess there are other ways. I mean, maybe people have got some ideas of fundraising, but how can they, in a simple way anyway, come and support Happy Child and the home?
In a simple way, well, there are lots of ways actually, lots of sponsored things that people can do, sponsored walks, not runs for 24 hours like you, but or little coffee mornings, online coffee mornings. Sponsoring you, helping you to reach that £3,000 target would be amazing. And we really would value, we do value your prayers, particularly during this pandemic time, because the pandemic, we are having to reassess the direction that we are going. So we would really appreciate the prayers, everybody's prayers on this, for the future. So please pray.
Wonderful. And you can always go to your website. We'll put a link to your website up so that people know where to go. And Happy Child are one of our church sponsors. So as a church, we're supporting them as well. But if this is a way as an individual. Jennie, thank you so much. It was lovely doing the run for you and with you, because you were there for lots of bits as well as your posters and things. So it's been a real privilege. And so thank you very much for being with us this morning. Bless you.
Thank you, James, and thank you everyone for supporting.